اوكي.
بسرعة جهز. لا الثاني هناك اللي هون.
Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining our panel discussion. It's our most pleasure to moderate at the G20 Young Entrepreneurs Summit. My name is Bayan Al Ghamdi. I'm heading the MIT Saudi chapter of the Entrepreneurship Programs of Our topic of the panel is Pre and Post COVID-19, the transformation to the new normal. We'll be discussing major topics and discussing the pandemic and the virus that hits us all. It's our businesses and transparent evolve. Entrepreneurship and startups. We will include adapting to businesses, striving to the new normal, the current trends and impacts on entrepreneurs, the development of digital communication in a seamless office sector. Join me please to welcome our panelists and Mr. Sattam Al Subaiee, the focus on big data.
خلص على اليوتيوب عم سجل.
Mr. Sattam is currently the Assistant Director of Practice and Action Information. He's the great mind behind social media. Adwa Al Dakheel, the entrepreneur and the medical business. The number one investment hub that is focused on investment-backed acceleration projects, and also the founder and CEO of that company. From Italy, joining us Matteo, Acqua, the CEO of Adwa, family-owned business, is focusing on operating in plastic sector, with 60% of recyclable plastic in production. The family has been doing it for over 40 years, and now he is a member of the executive. From UK, joining us, Hugo, passionate to improve quality of life through innovation. Hugo is the founder and the CEO of Smart Separation. We have a PhD in biomedical engineering from Imperial College. His great innovation was selected as one of the 10 life-changing ideas concerned with application. Last but not least, our co-founder and CEO of Mercy, with over 6 million registered companies for a delivery demand platform across 3 countries. Welcome, and thank you for joining. Allow me to start with our first panel. Dr. Sattam, you worked with amazing stories or with an amazing application that transformed Saudi in terms of allowing businesses to pursue. So, Kenna application. From the inception to that, we had it over the allow us to share more information in terms of the transformation that happened on the infrastructure of Saudi and how it really affected our ecosystem.
First of all, thank you, Ben. Very glad to be with this amazing panelists. So, Tawakkalna is an application. It is the official application that was launched by Saudi Data and AI Authority, working with the Ministry of Health back in April, when the lockdown started to happen around the world and in Saudi as well. So Tawakkalna was able to serve citizens, residents, businesses, patients, and everyone who's living in the kingdom to get out during the curfew, get permissions to get out, and be able to get essentials like, go to the grocery store or go to the hospital or to a pharmacy and so on. Tawakkalna, when the first days of Tawakkalna, when we were directed to meet on at the end of March to discuss an important topic, and we were told that we have to build an application and launch it very soon to help citizens and residents, as I said, to get out whenever necessary. We were surprised to know that the time period that we have in order to develop the application is 7 days, basically. So on the first day, on our first meeting, we were 10 employees of Sadaya. We were tasked to build the application, basically. And after 7 days since we started, the team size reached over 300 people, because the application required having all the talent that you can bring in order to be able to launch the application as soon as possible. The challenge with Tawakkalna is that when we started, the business wasn't clear at all. We were given a very high general direction to build something to help people get out, but we had to sit with the business owners and decision makers and security officials, health officials to understand. So that was a huge challenge that we had to overcome. In addition to that, building an application that will be used by millions on the first day after it is going to be launched was a huge challenge. So building applications that can scale to that large number of users was the most challenging task we had encountered while developing the application. The great things is that the kingdom invested heavily in digital infrastructure. And at Sadaya and National Information Center, to be specific, which is a center affiliated with Sadaya, we had what's called the government cloud. So the government cloud is an infrastructure that you can provision your applications very quickly on that cloud without needing to get into the technical hassle of how to manage your infrastructure. So that helped us big time. What was even more important is the talent. So the kingdom invested heavily in its education system, especially in new disciplines such as computer science and computing in general and engineering disciplines as well. So having the talent ready, and when it was a time to have those people gather and build this application, they were all there. I remember, many of those people working in the application working for straight 36 hours, sleeping 2 or 3 hours on the sofa in our office, and then waking up and working for another straight 30 hours. And they were just doing this because they knew that people depended on them to build that application and get it out as soon as possible. Businesses needed it. Delivery applications needed those and needed this application to get out as soon as possible. Once the application was out, we were relieved. Millions of people started to use it, and things started to smoothen out. Businesses, people, patients started to get out, use the application, and get to semi-normal life situation.
That's very incredible story, and I think we're very grateful for all of the effort and all of the team behind Tawakkalna. Dr. Sattam, if we can ask you for an advice that you could give to entrepreneurs and startups right now in terms of the digitization that's happening and how they could adapt to these changes and works toward an uncertain world from your perspective.
Sure. So, I think, similar to how electricity changed the world 100 years ago, and similar to internet, smartphones, and many other revolutions, how those technologies changed the world and changed the businesses specifically. I think we are now at a crossroad. Digitization nowadays is not an option; it is a necessity. for business survival, and sometimes you need to, the technology is there, but sometimes you need to have a shake-up, to wake up people. So this is exactly what happened during the pandemic. Only those businesses that were ready digitally from a perspective of infrastructure, and more importantly, from the perspective of having the right talent, the talent that can deliver when you need those resources to adapt and build solutions very quickly. Only those businesses were able not only to survive, but more probably to thrive in general. So I think going forward, if I can predict the future after the pandemic, I think digitized businesses is going to be the new reality. So it's not an option anymore. If you don't, adapt and start moving to digitized businesses, you probably will be left out very soon.
It's amazing. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Dr. Sattam, for the insight. And I hope our listeners would pay attention to that, and we hope for the best. Moving to from an investor point of view, to Adwa Al Dakheel. At Felek, you have over 10 startups. And during that time, I'm sure you have noticed the impact that's happened for startups. How would you see the success factor? How would you say the success factor for those startups? Especially that we notice during the pandemic, though, we noticed a 100% increase in investment. Saudi invested like over $95 million in startups during that time in the first half of 2020. So how would you see that from your own perspective?
Absolutely. First of all, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I am honored to be within these incredible panelists and you as well, Bayan. And thank you so much for this incredible opportunity. To answer your question from an investor's point of view, and what we've noticed in Felek Investment Hub as well, was the power and the importance more than any time in the past to move fast and to have more than one revenue stream and more than one business model. That being said, if we come to the core essence of entrepreneurship, we come to what actually means in the French language, in the definition of entrepreneurship, adventure. Within the core essence of adventure is agility, moving fast, spotting opportunities and moving fast to actually find a solution to the world problems in real-time view. That being said, within our companies in Felek's portfolios, I can give you a very quick example that could just showcase the importance of agility within startups in this day and age, as Dr. Sattam mentioned as well, in an age of digitization. Within one of our companies, the industry that they are in is IoT, Internet of Things, and they are a company called Linkers IoT. Their core business model is they have sensors that they implement in every retail and offline location to turn these offline locations into a full dashboard of data, such as Google Analytics. Within the COVID pandemic, one of the core challenges and the core business of this company, they were dependent on retail, and they were dependent on offline retail in order to actually get this data. That being said, this story goes to show you the importance of having more than one revenue stream, and of course, thereafter, the importance of moving fast. What they've done in COVID times was they tried to experiment on a new revenue stream, which is in data and reporting as well. And they utilize the sensors that they have from more than 35 branches to extract what is currently happening in COVID times and how can we provide data and reports to actually make money for the business aside from the core business prior to COVID. Within this very fast move, the company not only survived, the company discovered a new business model. The company actually took a huge challenge that could have been disastrous, that could have eventually yielded to them shutting down. They turned this challenge into a major opportunity that they will continue resuming and focusing on even after COVID times. This goes to show us as investors and as entrepreneurs the true essence of entrepreneurship. And we've been all challenged after COVID to truly show us who is a true entrepreneur, who can really move fast, and who can truly turn a major challenge, a worldwide crisis, into an opportunity that is needed, that has a humanitarian aspect, not just a monetary aspect or a commercial aspect as well. I hope this answers your question, Ben.
Absolutely, yeah, indeed. That's very insightful. Last thing, if you allow me to ask you, Adwa, what do you see as the future of business after COVID-19? We know that we haven't passed the stage yet, but post-COVID, how do you see startups and how do you see the future of businesses overall?
Honestly, I don't want to reiterate what Dr. Sattam mentioned, but I do believe even conventional business after COVID, the core success factor of businesses in this day and age is the main essence of digitization, technological adaptation, and that of partnerships. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the infrastructure was ripe. It was still ready for horizontal platforms that could conquer and be focused on multiple different verticals. In this day and age, with the surplus and red oceans that we're seeing across multiple different industries, we still see a core essence of lack of true innovation, that we are currently seeing a major change and major shift, especially with such summits, with such awareness programs, and the importance of innovation. That being said, to go straight into your question, Bayan, having a copycat startup in this day and age will no longer work. You need to be successful in any market, in any country, localization of the local needs. More importantly, you need a very strong digital infrastructure that could enable any business in any sector the proper foundation and the chance to actually scale in an innovative manner. So the future of business is multiple revenue streams to diversify within whatever happens, whatever disaster that could happen along the years. I am not only depending on one business model, on one revenue stream, number one. Number two, my infrastructure as a business in the 21st century has a proper digital infrastructure that could enable me to truly expand and to scale and to adapt to whatever challenge I have. Number three, and most importantly, every startup and entrepreneurship is a human capital business. If we focus on the proper talents, if we focus on the proper human capital as the true asset of whatever company we have, these are the foundations of success in the COVID age and after COVID age as well.
Oh, that's a great insight. Thanks a lot, Adwa. Moving forward to Matteo from Italy. Matteo, you're owning a business, family business for over 40 years. It's focusing on industry, and 50% of it is based on export or international resources. So how did that happen, and how did that change or affected the industry of production at your company?
First of all, thank you for inviting me to this panel. In fact, we have a small enterprise, and this time brought very little time for the manufacturing company to adapt. In fact, the first response to the COVID was move everyone to remote working, but for a manufacturing business, this is very difficult because it does not change very much the number of people that works in your firm, because mostly of them are connected with the production or the surveillance of the production. And this makes a very big challenge because you have to focus on different level of problem. You know, we experienced in Italy a very fast changing of the situation. First of all, we heard about a very big problem somewhere in China, and then we started to spot some cases in Europe, and then a few cases in Italy, and in a few days we moved from a few cases in my region to total lockdown. This brought a lot of problems. First of all, the disruption of the supply chain, a very difficult way to manage the cash flow, some border restriction. As you said, we work in more than 50 countries, and every country has a different approach to this problem. So in this little time, we decided to focus on two major issues to react fast. The first one was to sustain the supply chain, and the second one was to protect the people working for us. Focusing on the first one, the supply chain, we understood that only became a team with our supplier and with our customer, we can survive. If If you know, the plastic sector was already under pressure for the transformation bring on by the sustainability challenge. In Italy, from a legal point of view, we were allowed to go on with our business, but in fact, most of the restrictions were so difficult to comply that some companies decided to stop their production no matter what. In my company, we had a lot of work to do, so we do not have a lack of orders. And we decided with all our stakeholders, so our customers and our suppliers especially, to continue to produce. Because, you know, when you work in a recycling material dependent environment as plastics, you have to rely on the recycled material coming in and to cover some cost, selling your scraps to be recycled. So this is a challenge in and out problem. And if you stop your role in this chain, all the chains suffer, and the probability that all go down are very high. So we changed our model of operation. With some of our customers, we speak one time a month. From some others, a couple of times a year. During the lockdown, everyone was equally distant from us. So we started to speak a lot with them, 1, 2, 3, 4 call a days to understand better each problem and solve it in real time. The second issue was to be sure to protect everyone working with us, because Italy was the first country in Europe to be eaten, and there was a shortage also of masks. So the primary way to protect us from the coronavirus was difficult to reach. And we decided to implement a protocol, helped also by the association of other entrepreneurs, to change the way of our production will flow. And the second things that I remember very well about that days in April and March was calling a lot friends and other young entrepreneurs to share the batch of masks that were delivered every day. In that way, we managed to continue to reduce day by day. I don't know if this situation on the second wave will change a lot, because now we are facing, this is the first time that we are facing the risk of the second wave. But from my point of view, I learned a very important lesson, and that we must rely on the team in this moment, because over 40 years we have a lot of people that are working there, and the commitment obviously changed by person. These times, I see that the capacity of people to react to difficulties is the thing that then bring the company alive.
That's a very impressive story. Thanks, Matteo, for sharing. And we hope all the best, and we wish you all safe during the second wave. All our prayers with Italy, for sure. Just last question for you, Matteo. You mentioned a point regarding the essence of a cash flow that really helped in the survival of established company. Can you elaborate on that, or can you give us sort of how did it really help at your business?
Yeah, absolutely. In Italy, our economic system relies on a quite long term of payments, and so the first problem was that with all the shops going down and no people buying pretty anything except from online channels, most of companies suffered from a loss of income, and then some difficulty to pay their suppliers. Honestly, this issue was more a fear than a reality, but a very curious way of react to show how the Italian system could react very fast was in a manifesto that was breakdown on by a local chapter of Confindustria that in a nutshell was saying I will pay the supplier. In that way, most of the company decided by themselves to pay their supplier faster than the contractual obligation. In that way, we flooded our economic system with a lot of money, and it was faster than the banking intervention that took a couple of months. And that ensured that quite a lot of companies were able to pay and were able to receive money in very fast way.
That's impressive. Thanks a lot. We have a lot of questions, but for the sake of time, we can go to our fourth panelist and speaker, Ayman Al Sanad, logistics and how it really affected your industry and Marsool.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me here. I'm delighted and honored to be amongst your guests here, and talking about what happened. Maybe looking back at what happened in the last 8 months, I'd say no one would have even predicted, not even a 0.0% of an incident would happen just by the beginning of the year. When we started Marsool, and probably Marsool is, just to put in some context, we think is the largest on-demand delivery in Saudi and probably in the region. The motto that we use is Marsool is your brother in every corner of the city. So whatever you need, you can depend and rely on Marsool getting you what you want. So when the pandemic happened, when the lockdown started, you couldn't really ask for a period where you could actually shine and show people that you could be the brother they can depend on and get anything when they cannot go out of their homes and get their stuff delivered. So we sat, and then we had a really discussion about what we want to do. Is this a commercial opportunity to take advantage of, or is it a humanitarian issue that you need to help people? You need to show that side of the business where you want to help people stay safe at their homes, help them get anything without really the need to go out and probably expose themselves to the risk of getting infected. So what we thought of, we want to make sure that people get their essentials. You want to make sure. That's wrong. I'm seeing the sound. Okay. So you want to make sure people are getting the essentials they need, be it groceries, pharmacies, and this is what we did. We worked with our partners, making sure essentials at that time, masks, sanitizers, and the major grocery stores are all aligned, and people can get whatever they want on a fixed discounted price, and also the pharmacies. When we thought of what we needed to do, we kept helping suppliers on the back lines. The shortage of the hand sanitizers, the gloves at the time, the masks. How can Marsool be part of that? How can Marsool be, as a technology platform, how Marsool could be part of supplying those who need them at the moment? But obviously, logistics probably one of the most hit sectors in the business. People were not ready for such a huge disruption in the supply chain. we were not expecting this. You would have been a lot better prepared if something of that sort could be planned out. You couldn't even go out to the office. You couldn't meet people. Being a remote first culture company helped us a little bit. People became, I'd say, the least you could say, those people are no longer look at their jobs as an 8 to 5 job or a job that I do because I want to get compensated for it. People all of a sudden had the privilege to be helping everyone in the country. And what a great privilege that a local company, a startup in the company would have and would be able to help and really mobilize everyone around you to help everyone else. So it wasn't really about what you could do, what you could become. It was about what can you do today and how can you help people stay safe, stay in their homes, and get whatever they wanted, just like there is no lockdown.
Thank you. Thanks, Ayman, for this note. Just a last question to you, Ayman. How did this help you in understanding your consumer behavior, and how did it really change your strategy now in listening to their feedback? I guess that was a major change to Marsool, I guess.
I would say maybe logistics services such as Marsool and probably similar services were looked at before the pandemic as a luxury service that you want to have. And the value proposition that we were doing all over the years, we were saying we needed to convince people of how this technology could help you, how mobilizing a large fleet of people to helping you could actually be effective, could save you time, could give you whatever you want. It could actually buy you the time to think that you could not buy yourself. And when the pandemic happens, this became a necessity, an essential that you cannot even live without. And when people got the opportunity to really see how the world could become if they could use these services, we were never looked at as we used to be before. People looking at this as a viable, trustworthy, something you could use whenever you need it, and you could be sure that you will get what you want. And I think this does not only apply on technology. It does not apply on logistics and deliveries. It actually applies on every technology company in the world. You probably, if you see what happened earlier this year, you would see the technology companies are the biggest maybe benefactors of what happened. These values are growing crazy over the last few months, internationally and nationally. You would see how much investment were put in technology companies. Look, these are really bad times, but people, you could see these opportunities popping up every once in a while. It is such an amazing news to hear of companies being invested at in the middle of an economical and also a health crisis. People were expecting things will go bad, but then you see business people are betting on the future of technology and the potential of technology. How could that actually, how much value that could bring to the future.
Great, thanks a lot. That was amazing listening to you, Ayman. Thank you.
Thanks.
Moving last but not least to Hugo from Smart Separation. You came with an invention that is really came at the right moment with a team of researchers and scientists. You came up with a product from an ideation to an MVP to launch. That was really incredible story of founding Geno. If you can share with us how this product worked and how did you work as a team members and how were you agile to adapt to these changes?
Thank you, Bayan. Let me first send a very big shout out to the UK delegation and of course to the Saudi for organizing this amazing discussion. And it's a great pleasure to be part of such a great panel with all of you guys. I felt really inspired to hear these stories. And a very big shout out also to my team who are probably listening, I hope. Exactly like you said, Bayan, I think we started looking back. This has been really, really great development for our company. I guess it's a great story to see what has been happening in small companies. If I look back, I started Smart Separations really as a way to make human blood in the lab. So imagine one day you could actually have blood. But I found out that, wait a minute, biotech is going to be really difficult. It's going to be quite difficult to raise investment. We pivoted into air purification. And, without knowing that a pandemic was coming, in a way, we were kind of preparing for it because 2 years ago, we started a project funded by the European Commission through an Horizon 2020 grant to actually develop an antiviral air purification module. And, so it couldn't come at a better time when last year we actually did the first tests. And we actually were testing this against the latest pandemic virus, the H1N1 in 1918. And so when we started seeing what was happening in China, when we started seeing that something might be there in the cards, my team was the first to say, hey, Hugo, why don't we try to do something here? Why don't we try to take our technology, because our motto, innovation to improve quality of life, couldn't we try to do something about this? And I thought at the time, I remember, come on guys, I have big dreams, but you guys are really going overboard. But really, this was back in January. We started by saying, you know what? Let's launch a product on Kickstarter in the next few months so that we could launch the first product. And as you said, our team has no experience about launching a product. We never actually launched the product. We were developing a technology to then be integrated into other people's products. But we thought, well, why don't we try? We have a very strong team. And I would say that this is quite important, more important than the idea, more important than even a technology, it's the team behind. If you have a strong team, if you trust each other, then that's where I'm learning. You can fight and you can go through everything. Over the last few years, our team has been developing together, we've been working. We were developing these systems to work remotely. We were using tools like Basecamp. We were chatting via WhatsApp. So in a way, we were kind of almost preparing ourselves to be able to work remotely because we knew it was going to be more efficient. And this is one of the key lessons, I would say, that we can take away from COVID, which is by working remotely, we actually are much more efficient. We are not polluting as much because we don't have to travel so much. And by the way, look at what we're doing today. I'm calling you, I'm actually in Portugal at the moment, talking with people in the UK, talking with you guys in Saudi Arabia. We also have Matteo from Italy. We have people from all over the world. It was impossible if we tried to put all of these people in the same place. I know that we've been doing this for many, many years, but look at how many more people we can bring into such a small place and in such a short amount of time. So I think that this has been a great learning curve. So over this, we actually decided to launch Gino. And if you look for Gino, Gino, look for it on Kickstarter. If you find our website, smartseparations.com/GINO, the idea here is that we can actually destroy coronavirus and other viruses and bacteria from the air. So imagine that you could improve the face-to-face interactions of people by actually destroying this virus from the air. Moreover, we're also developing a nanotechnology that not only destroys coronavirus in the air, but when applied to surfaces, you can actually render surfaces antiviral properties. I.e., imagine like putting this into stickers to protect door handles, lift buttons, etc. So our team has been very quick to adapt, and I would say that this has really shown us how fast SMEs can do these kind of things. When answering to such a big problem, we are very quick to do that, and we have been seeing all of these stories. But this has not been easy for us because we were left, with very limited resources. Our investor sadly also had lots of issues financially. So for us to actually do all of this could not be only about the money, because if it was about the money, we could not have moved forward. We had no money whatsoever to actually do all of this. We were lucky to be supported now by the British government, by the Portuguese government, by the European Union, starting to see that. But we have had lots of financial issues because of investment, because of corporates that we reached out that did not help us. And really, our main point was, you know what? Doesn't matter. Let's do with what we already have. Let's do with the little that we have, because the main point here is that we can help society with our technology. And that's really where we are today.
That's a very incredible story. Thank you so much for sharing, Hugo. Do you have a last advice as a delegate from the UK delegation that you want to conclude before, or you would like to share before we conclude our panel?
Yeah, so out of all of these ideas, everything that we have seen, I would really like to call on the G20 Young Entrepreneurs Alliance to bring some of these resilient stories to our G20 leaders, to get them inspired by what together we have done, both locally and nationally, wherever we are, and to look out for what else we will be able to do in the future. We have done this because we truly believe in a better society and in what we can do to help it. So if some of these stories could be brought forward, and in the next time we can all be prepared, because I believe that SMEs, young entrepreneurs, really can help to address some of these challenges brought by a pandemic or brought by anything else that planet Earth throws at us. Thank you, Bayan.
Thank you, Hugo. And thanks to our great speakers and panelists. Thank you so much for your time. For our listeners, a major takeaway that you can take post-COVID-19, the importance of the digitization and having an agility and resilience team that you can adapt to this changing world. And lastly, to adaptation or to the customer behavior changes that you can listen to and learn, as our startups did in this panel. We thank you so much for listening, and we hope we gave you insight, and we wish you a great evening. Goodbye.
It is an honor and a privilege to welcome attendees from innovation and will be instrumental in finding solutions to the challenges related to COVID-19 as well. Considering the SME sector and entrepreneurs' ability to pursue innovative ideas and concepts in various sectors and turn them into practical solutions that can produce measurable results, it is high time that the public and private sector and policymakers join forces to drive the recovery and spur the sector's growth. SMEs and entrepreneurship sector form a vital part of the UAE's economic vision and serve as a major engine for its economic diversification, while also strengthening the foundations for a transition into a knowledge-based competitive economy. Today, the SME sector represents more than 98% of the total number of companies operating in the UAE and provides employment for more than 86% of the private sector's workforce. Through the launch of various well-thought-out initiatives that are designed to promote entrepreneurship among our citizens, the UAE strives to raise the contribution of SMEs to 60% by 2021. I have no doubt that this platform will significantly contribute to accelerating our efforts in this direction. I wish this endeavor all the success and sincerely hope that all attendees benefit from its outcomes. The UAE is not only focused on developing Emirati entrepreneurs, but we welcome all startups, entrepreneurs, and SMEs across the Arab region and globally to pursue their ideas and bring them to life. We are committed to building the ecosystem that will allow young entrepreneurs to grow, and provide them with all the resources that will enable them to turn their businesses into successful examples. We are an international country that has always been entrepreneurial, and we want our people to be entrepreneurs. I wish you all success in this event. Thank you.